Well, hey there, my friends. Welcome to the show. My name is Deanna Yates, and you are listening to episode 282 of the Wannabe Clutter-Free podcast. On today's episode, we are wrapping up our 10-part series. It was part of this Empowering Life series where we looked at all the different aspects of how clutter impacts your life. And today, we're bringing it back home. We are finishing up with home, and we are going to look at how clutter impacts your living environment. I think we have a sense of this, but there are really some interesting scientific studies that have come out about clutter and stuff and how it affects us, particularly as women. So we're going to look at that today, but of course, I am not going to leave you with just how it affects us. But toward the end of this episode, I am going to give us 6 practical ways to reclaim our calm. I want to make sure that I leave you feeling empowered so you can go ahead and tackle the things that are holding you back, that maybe aren't making you feel as great, and maybe your home environment isn't lifting you up as much as you'd want it to. So we're going to solve that today. But for those of you that have been on this journey, we have gone through a lot. We've talked about your relationships, your money, we've looked at health and fun, and each area connects back to how your home feels. So when I look at this whole Empowering Life series, it actually starts with your environment, but I didn't want to start there because I think for most of us, it feels the most common, or you're like, yeah, of course, the stuff in my home is going to affect how my home feels. But there are so many other aspects to clutter. But I want us to think about our home, right? We're bringing it back, and I want you to be honest with yourself. When your home feels chaotic, everything else feels harder. It is harder to motivate yourself to do the things you want to do when you're surrounded by stuff that is pulling you down. I just recorded a course, and in it I said that the stuff around you carries a heavy weight, and that weight is what you're dragging around. And it is one of those things that, as I've worked with clients to lighten the load, I am always surprised. I don't know why it still surprises me. It shouldn't surprise me anymore, but I am always surprised at how much it affects all of the other areas of their life as well. And that's what this whole series has been about. So if you're listening to this and you think, oh, you know what? Yeah, clutter definitely affects my home. If after this episode you're like, but it's also affecting my finances, or it's affecting my family life and how we react or interact with each other at home, then check out the other episodes. I will leave a link to all of the other episodes in the show notes so you can click on through and get to the other episodes in this Empowering Your Life series. But let's back up a little bit. I want to clarify what home really means, because home is not just your physical space. Yes, that is the building we live in and all of that, but it really is the energy you come home to. So your home is the container that holds your stuff. It's where you rest and recharge and relax. And if there's a bunch of clutter, that energy isn't what you're coming home to. You're not coming home to that peaceful retreat. You're coming home to something else that needs your attention. It could be the visual noise on the counters. It could be the piles you don't even see anymore. It could be the to-dos that live in every corner, because all of the things that are out that you see are calling for your attention. And when it gets to be too much, you actually just start to turn a blind eye to this. And your brain stops recognizing the clutter because it's been there so long, it's too overwhelming, and it just feels like, well, this is what I have to deal with now. We adapt, but that adaptation does come with a cost. And there's actually a name for this. Organizers call it clutter blindness. You've probably heard that in this space from other organizers. It's when we stop noticing the stuff around us because our brains have adapted to seeing it every day. Psychologists call it habituation, and it's the same reason you stop noticing the hum of your refrigerator or the scent of your own perfume after a while. Or have you ever had that time where you've left your house and then you come back after vacation and you're like, oh, our house does actually have a distinct scent to it. You know, you'll notice it when you go into other people's homes, but your nose or your senses get numbed to the things that we see, taste, touch, smell every day. And that is actually called habituation, but we in the space call it clutter blindness. So science says there is a hidden cost of all the clutter that is around us. There are lots of studies that are starting to show this. In 2009, the UCLA CLEF study said that families who lived among high visual clutter had elevated cortisol levels. So I'm sure you have heard this, but the cortisol is your stress hormone, and they were able to test this with the reaction of the people coming through the home. Now, the people that were affected the most by this, I don't think you'll be surprised, but it was the mothers. the fathers in the study didn't really seem to have the same reaction to their homes. And it's surprising to me, like even in this day and age, we are still, so much of our self-worth and how we show up for our families and how we nurture ourselves and the people that live in our home really does still come back to how we feel about our home. And what it meant when these women had elevated cortisol levels was that the mere sight of the clutter kept the women's stress hormones higher throughout the day. Even when they weren't actively in their home, when they weren't actively cleaning, when they weren't actively decluttering, it was just this fact that they felt like their home was messy. This also is shown in a Harvard research on decision fatigue. So every item in your visual field is a micro decision. So I kind of said that you're seeing all of these things around your home, and it doesn't matter if you're a macro or a micro organizer or a visual or a hidden. If you prefer to have your things hidden away, those are preferences. But within those preferences, or above all those preferences, actually, is this idea that everything in your visual field is going to be a micro decision. So you are going to have to decide: do you want to keep it, move it, use it, fix it, ignore it? What is it calling for you to do? Generally, when there are things out and they're not in their home. See, this is why it doesn't matter if you're a macro or a micro or a visual or a, hidden away kind of an organizer. Your brain hasn't made a decision on it. So if you're someone that likes your stuff out, you want to be able to see it, it still needs a home so that your brain knows, oh, I've already put it away. I've already dealt with it. I don't have to solve that problem. It's not causing me stress or anxiety or, feelings of inadequacy because I've already made a decision on it. The decision has been made. So there are less decisions to make. There's less decision fatigue that you have to deal with. Because that constant mental background noise is draining our energy before we even start our day. We wake up and there's a giant to-do list of things we need to do. If we haven't tidied up, if our house isn't tidy and we haven't dealt with the stuff, we are just putting it off to another day. And that day, it's really hard then to stay motivated. That day doesn't really come, right? Because then suddenly it wasn't just a few things in the corner. Now it's the entire desktop is covered, or it wasn't just one box. Now it's a corner filled with boxes, right? You start to put something in the guest room because you're going to deal with it next month. Well, then next month comes and you've added 5 things to it because you didn't have time to deal with them before either, right? So it is just kind of this perpetual cycle we get stuck in. And I don't want us to think of our home as just this burial ground where all the stuff we've ever encountered in our life goes to die. Our home should be the support system for us so that we can live the best life we want, so that we can be showing up in the world, so we can use our home how we want to. And you deserve to be living and not just storing everything that you've ever come in contact with throughout your life. So some other quick mentions I want to talk about when it comes to like these scientific ideas and studies, and then we're going to get into some client examples, is that neuroscience shows visual clutter competes for our attention. It means that it's harder to get into deep work. So I work from home. So this is my, I'm in the middle of my den off the kitchen. And when my desk is cluttered, it's hard for me to pay attention. I can see my tomato plants out the window. And if they're not doing great, well, then I get out of what I'm doing in my workspace and I get out of my headspace and I, get halfway through outlining this episode and I think, oh, I need to deal with that, or, oh, I've got to do that. And then it's so much harder for me to get back into what I was doing. Whether that's playing with your kids, cooking dinner, cleaning your closet, cleaning your bathroom, whatever you're doing in your home, just sitting down and relaxing. It's hard for you just to sit down and relax and just be when there's all this stuff vying for your attention, right? And studies on burnout and sensory overload show that a cluttered environment reduces creativity, it increases procrastination, it makes everything seem harder. So if you're feeling snappy, more tired, or more foggy lately, your environment might be whispering louder than you realize. That might actually be the thing that is causing you to feel so run down. All right, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I want to talk about the invisible weight and a client example that I think is going to help. So I want to talk to you about my client, Rachel. She's a working mom of 2, and she had said that she thought she was just bad at time management, right? She felt like she never had enough time in her day. She just was constantly going from, fire to fire, always putting out the little things that were popping up. And she felt very reactive in her life. She didn't feel proactive. She never felt like she could get ahead. She always felt like she was just running a little bit behind and rushing the kids everywhere and just taking care of everything she had to do, right? That is a lot, right? Having 2 kids, having a full-time job outside of the house. I think we can all agree that's a lot for her to take on. But when she cleared the piles on her kitchen counters, she realized that she wasn't lazy. She was overwhelmed, right? It wasn't that she didn't want to do it or that she just was like, whatever. She wasn't lazy. This woman is amazing. She has achieved a lot of things professionally. She's a fantastic mother. She's a great partner to her spouse. And it's just the fact that she was just overwhelmed. Sometimes it's too much. But after she implemented a 15-minute nightly reset and she started removing that storage clutter, all this stuff that she had just been keeping just because, she said her mood lifted. Her evenings ran smoother. Her kids started helping without being asked. And she just felt so much more in control of her life. And it took 15 minutes, right? Again, I think we all can find pockets of time throughout our day. We can find 15 minutes if it's going to change our life, right? We scroll for hours. I think the studies, people spend 6 hours a day on their phone. I don't know that exactly, but I'm pretty sure that's I've heard that before. That is a heck of a lot of time. I'm asking for 15 minutes of that. You can find 15 minutes in your day. You can change your life. And you can start very small in one corner of your home. I want you to start where it is the, biggest burden on you. And then it will make a huge impact going forward. And you will start to see, like Rachel, that you are not lazy. You're just overwhelmed. There's just too much vying for your attention on a regular basis. And that is the ripple effect of decluttering. It doesn't just change how your home looks or functions. It changes how your home feels to live in it. And that is why it is so important. That is why I am so passionate about decluttering. And that is why I'm so passionate about helping people figure out how to live clutter-free in a way that works for them, because it is life-changing. It will ripple out into not only your life, but every person's life that you touch. That's your family, that's your coworkers, that's the PTA members, that's, the person that you drive past, the stranger you drive past on the street, and you have a little more bandwidth, so you let them go through the stop sign first instead of being rushed. This is how getting rid of that clutter can affect every single aspect of your life. And I think starting in your home is really, really important. So I want you to do a quick little assessment for yourself to kind of figure out where you are on a scale of 1 to 10. So this reflection it's just for you. You don't even have to write it down. I prefer you would write it down just so you can look back on it, especially after you do maybe a week of 15-minute declutters and then start to see the progress you've made, because 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, you don't think it's going to add up, but it really, really does. All right. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how peaceful does your home feel right now? What would you rate yourself? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. 10 being it is perfectly zen and I'm on cloud 9 all the time. 1 being I can barely open the door. How does it feel right now? Do you feel calm when you walk through your front door? Scale of 1 to 10. Can you find what you need without searching too much? Would you know where to go to find something that you need? That doesn't mean you have to open a drawer. That means I got to look through 5 or 10 drawers to figure out where I put it. Does your space reflect your current life, or is it more of a reflection of a past version of the life you had been living? And does your environment support your routines, or does it sabotage them? So if you want, you can give a number to all 5 of those questions, but if you just want to do the first one and then kind of think about how those other ones fit into that first question, that's fine. So if your number feels lower than you'd like, it's not a failure. It's feedback for you to know, oh, okay, you know what? This is something I actually should be working on. It's showing you where you have maybe an energy drain and why your home doesn't feel uplifting to you and why you feel so overwhelmed at the end of the day, even though you feel like you're doing everything right. It's okay. You're not a failure. You're just overwhelmed. And that's okay. We're gonna work on fixing it. I'm gonna give you 6 practical ways to reclaim your calm right after this break. So I, of course, do not want to leave you just in this state of like, great, well, everything's overwhelmed. What do I do? I want to help you fix it. I'm going to give you 6 practical ways to reclaim your calm. So let's start with where your eyes land first, or the first thing that popped in your head when you were thinking about how do I feel in my home? And you're like, oh, that area just, too much. So the place that you thought of first, or the place that you first see when you walk in that you're like, that's the place I want to deal with, that's what we're going to clear first. Because this is the thing that is causing you it's coming up first. It's the biggest motivator at the moment. And I feel like we need to work on those kinds of places first. Something that's going to affect your tomorrow. I don't want us to start in the garage. So please, if the garage came up first, other than the only way, I would say start in your garage, because it's November 5th when this episode comes out. The only reason I would say start there is if you live somewhere where it's snowy, or it's going to be snowy, and you can't fit your car in the garage, so it will make a huge difference on a daily basis for you if you can start to park your car in the garage and not have to, shovel off the snow, scrape off the snow. You're not shoveling snow off your car. I did used to live in Chicago, where you scrape the snow off your car every morning when you get into it, right? That's going to make a huge difference for you. That's going to save you the 15 minutes, by the way. If you don't have 15 minutes, think about all the time you have to spend getting out the door if you're stuck in a snowy environment. So it's the only time I would ever say start in the garage. Getting off on a tangent here, but I want to make sure we're not starting there, because that's a hard place to start. That's where a lot of our stuff goes to die before it goes to the landfill. So don't start there unless it's going to be super beneficial for you. Other than that, I would start wherever you thought of first. It's going to make tomorrow easier. Step 2, because I want to make this quick, that doesn't mean we have to do it perfect, right? Perfect would be, I'm going to take everything out. I'm going to look through it. I'm going to make a heartfelt decision on everything that's here, and I'm going to put back only what I need. That's perfect. We do not need to be perfect all the time. I want us to release that. So I want us to just contain it before we conquer it. I want you to use a bin or a basket. I love taking just like a big laundry basket around, gathering all the stuff in that doesn't belong there, and then sitting down on my floor, sorting through it, and just dealing with it in a more calm manner. Zero guilt about having to do things that aren't perfect. That is okay. If you want perfection and you want a gold star, go ahead. But just know that you don't have to do that as we're just getting started. It's easier to be more quote unquote structured when you have a few of these wins under your belt, okay? So start there, just contain it. Number 3, I want you to focus on the function, not perfection. So your kitchen does not need to be Pinterest worthy. It just needs to help you feed your family with less stress. So the idea of your kitchen is to nourish your family, right? It's where we cook our meals. So whether you're cooking or your partner's cooking or your kids are cooking, the idea is you have the tools you need to fix a nutritious meal to feed your family or yourself. And then we can just deal with everything else. So I want you to think about that function in any space that you are decluttering. Your entryway, it's the place where it's your launching pad for getting out the door, right? So we want to have the things there that we need to leave and not have a lot of chaos and strife in the morning, and a place where we can just come and put it all away when we get home so that we don't have to think about it again. That's your entryway or your mudroom, or the area right off your garage if you park in your garage and come in through the back entrance. So That's what we want to focus on. What is the function? We don't have to have it organized perfectly. It does not have to be color-coded, any of these things. We're working on function first. We can always make it pretty later, but we want to make sure it works for us. We don't start with pretty, start with function. Number 4 is to set daily anchors. So in the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, he talks about this idea of habit stacking, or like pairing a habit to something you already do. I absolutely love this. So choose 2 or 3 times a day to reset a space or do something that's going to help future you. And future you could be you in 30 minutes when you have to start cooking dinner, or later that day when you're cooking dinner. So one of my favorite ones is, while my coffee is brewing in the morning, I empty the dishwasher. That way, I am all set for later when we are making breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's all ready to go. I don't have to worry about, getting a spoon out of the dishwasher and a plate from the cabinet, because all the spoons are out of the... Why would I get a spoon and a plate? Let's talk about that again. I don't have to worry about getting a spoon out of the dishwasher because all of the utility drawer is empty, but a bowl out of the cabinet. It's all done. It's all put away and it's ready for me. It's a kindness to my future self. So are there other things that you can do that would help you? What are some ways you can do this throughout your day to create these little habit stacks? And the number 5 is to let your home evolve. Your home should grow with you. It shouldn't trap you into who you used to be. It's okay if you no longer need the things that you used to need. I'm a different person now that my daughter is a tween than I was when I was 24 and in my first apartment in downtown Chicago. Totally different person. I live in a different place. I have a different kind of job. I get to work for myself. I have to care for another human, not just myself. So it's okay. And it's in fact expected that you will grow as a human. So why would you expect that your home not to grow with you? Why would you expect that you should force yourself to keep all of the things you've ever had in your life? It is okay for your taste to change, for the things you want to change, for the things you need to change. So let go of those things that have just been sitting there because you feel guilty about letting go of them. We want to think about who we want to be, how we want to be living our life, what works for us now, and let our home evolve with us. And then number 6 is a bonus tip. I want you to use sensory cues. So this is just helpful to set that intention and environment. So maybe you love candles. Maybe you like music. Maybe you enjoy dimmer light in the evenings. I want you to use these kind of sensory cues to signal peace mode in your home, because the environment includes the energy, not just the stuff. That's the whole idea about this episode. And so when we can start to trigger that in our brain and start to calm things down, it will start feeling better as well. So what are the things that you can use to turn off go mode and start leaning into that relaxation, peace, and sanctuary mode? All right, those are my 6 tips, that practical ways that you can reclaim your calm right now. I want you to know that you have permission to redefine home for yourself in whatever way works for you. You don't need my permission, but if you needed to hear that, to feel like, oh, right, you're right. It's funny. I need that sometimes too. I'll hear a tip or someone will say something to me and I'm like, duh. Why didn't I think of that? And sometimes you just need someone to say it. So I want to be that person. I'm just saying it for you right now. A peaceful home isn't about how much stuff you own or don't own. I know minimalists that aren't super at peace either, because it's not about how much or how little stuff you own. It's about how supported you feel inside your home. You don't need to burn out chasing minimalism. You just need a space that makes your nervous system exhale and take a breath, sigh with relief. You have permission to start small. You have permission to feel proud. You have permission to take back control, one drawer at a time, one surface, one room, 15 minutes at a time. It is okay, and it's all here waiting for you in your own home. You just have to take a minute, look at it, and start to release all of that pressure and figure out, how is it that I want to be living? And then start to take little tiny steps to get to that every single day. Well, not every single day. On a regular basis. It's okay if you skip a day or two. I'm not going to put that pressure on you. All right, I hope you have liked this series. That wraps up episode 282 of the Wanna Be Clutter-Free podcast. I hope you enjoyed it and it helps you see how the clutter in your life, the stuff, all of the stuff that you don't want, that's clutter. The other stuff, it will help you in your life, and that's okay. Stuff can be tools. It can be nourishing and uplifting and useful and resourceful and all of those things. It just has to support you. And once you get there, you're golden, and it will feel so amazing. Think back to my client, Rachel, who said it really only took her 15 minutes a day, and she was shocked at how much better it made her feel. So I want you to resolve to spend 15 minutes of your day. Stop scrolling on Instagram, stop consuming other things. Take 15 minutes, carve it out for your peace. You deserve it. And start small. Pick one place and then just keep that momentum going. I want you to make sure you join us next week. I have a fabulous conversation coming up for you with Shanice Jones. We talk about cleaning out our closets. Her business is called Closet Therapy, and it is fantastic. I get a little vulnerable in it. We talk about how the clothes that we have in our closets and how we feel about our closets really is a deep reflection of how we feel about ourselves. I think you're going to love it. It is a fantastic conversation. She is a delight. So make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss it. Can't wait to share it with you next week. Until then, keep taking those little steps. Again, it doesn't have to be an entire declutter session. It's just one small step at a time. I know you can do it. I believe in you. You can do anything you put your mind to. I'm Deanna Yates, and you've been listening to Wanna Be Clutter-Free. I'll see you next week. Cheers.